Texas Governor Greg Abbott. I'm Ernie Manouse.
And I'm Tessa. What do you do when more than 2 decades in Congress comes to an end? Congressman Al Green joins us to discuss his final months in office, unfinished fights, and his next chapter.
Plus, what does it take to turn a career setback into a Grammy leadership role? Dr. Shonnie Murrell joins us to talk about mentorship, new music, and the future of Texas artists.
As always, we want to hear from you. You can call or text 713-440-8870. Shoot us an email at talk@hellohouston.org. You can also watch us live on YouTube by going to houstonpublicmedia.org.
All that and more right here on Hello Houston after the news from NPR and News 88.7.
Hello Houston is made possible in part by founding sponsors John Bradshaw and Kathy Sanders, and by gifts from listeners like you.
Live from NPR News, I'm Lakshmi Singh. The Trump administration's betting that its plan to decimate Iran's economy, which it dubs Economic D-Day, will accomplish what U.S. military bombings so far have not. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent says he'll explain Monday how Washington plans to do it. The administration is attempting to end Iran's chokehold on the Strait of Hormuz, a key oil shipping waterway, and bring an end to the war the U.S. and Israel started against Iran in late February. NPR's Emily Fang reports.
Extensive U.S. sanctions going back to the 1970s have already cut Iran off from much of the global trading system. But President Trump wrote this week a, quote, economic D-Day is coming for Iran or any countries that give it economic support. Sina Tusi, a senior fellow at the think tank Center for International Policy in Washington, says an ongoing U.S. naval blockade of the country is biting. But Iran managed to ship out a lot of oil during a short ceasefire with the U.S.
So that gained them a lot of buffer right now, at least for the next couple months. And they are working on circumvention routes, especially land routes, to trade, to not be as reliant on ports.
And he says the current Iranian government is now stacked with ideological hardliners for whom the economy is not a priority. Emily Fang, NPR News, Washington.
President Trump travels to South Carolina today for a rally in support of Darlene Graham, who's running for the Senate seat left vacant when her older brother, Lindsey Graham, died unexpectedly. Here's NPR's Tamara Keith.
With a rally in Myrtle Beach, Trump is trying to boost support for Darlene Graham among his base in the deep red state. After her brother's sudden and unexpected death, Trump encouraged Graham to run for the Senate and was quick to endorse her. But that endorsement didn't clear the field. She faces Republican Congressman Ralph Norman in the runoff. It's another test of the power of the president's endorsements. Earlier this week, 3 of the candidates he endorsed lost their primaries. A White House official tells NPR this is just one of many events in the coming months Trump will hold for candidates he endorsed. Tamara Keith, NPR News, the White House.
An appeals court has upheld a decision to block the Justice Department subpoenas to New York Attorney General Letitia James' office. The DOJ is seeking records about civil lawsuits James filed against President Trump and his family business. National Weather Service is dispatching a team to confirm reports of a tornado that struck Atlantic Beach on Long Island last night. Images are circulating online of a massive waterspout quickly spinning and tearing through at least 2 beach clubs. Richard Acarina with the Sun and Surf Beach Club describes what he saw.
The noise was frightening. You could see the wind. It was extremely violent. You look out the window and furniture from cabanas, from the deck area were flying everywhere.
Local authorities say there were no reports of significant injuries, but the damage was extensive. From Washington, this is NPR News.
Live from News 88.7 in Houston, I'm Shelby Rose. Galveston County law enforcement busted an alleged drug operation location in walking distance to a middle school this week. News 88.7's Juliana Washburn reports.
Law enforcement says among other drugs and alcohol, they seized fentanyl pills, over 4 pounds of marijuana, and 45 bottles of liquor at a Texas City home this week. Galveston Police Chief Doug Bally alleges Jameel McDonald was selling the drugs and alcohol to minors.
This person was peddling poison to our kids, peddling poison in your community, and giving everyone the ability to pay for it with a credit card.
Officers say McDonald faces 2 felony drug charges with a combined bond set at $2 million. From the Galveston County Bureau, I'm Juliana Washburn, News 88.7.
The holding of a mother and 2 children in the Dilley, Texas immigrant detention center for 58 days has caused a federal judge to appoint independent observers to represent those in the facility. Lauren Villagran with the nonprofit Marshall Project discussed the case on the Texas Standard.
Families may have been released on bond, or they may have been, sort of returned summarily rather than being detained for this extensive period. And that fight has moved to the courts. U.S. District Judge Dolly G., who oversees the settlement, has appointed an independent monitor to review the lengths of stay and the conditions in family detention.
The judge appointed the additional oversight after reviewing allegations of improper care among detainees in immigration custody. A crossing guard for HISD's Harvard Elementary School is recovering this morning after getting hit by a vehicle during dismissal yesterday. HISD says the guard was alert and responsive after the crash. They were taken to the hospital for further evaluation. No other details have been released. And in sports, the Texans lost to the Las Vegas Raiders 22-20 yesterday in the team's second preseason game of the year. The first regular season game is coming up on September 13th. Meanwhile, the Astros lost 18-3 to the Angels. They're still up a game in front of the Rangers for first place in the division as Major League Baseball season continues to wind down. I'm Shelby Rose, News 88.7.
Support for NPR comes from NPR stations. Other contributors include United States Postal Service, dedicated to putting reliability at the core of USPS Ground Advantage to help businesses operate smoothly. More at USPS.com/Ground Advantage.
Live from Houston Public Media and News 88.7, it's Hello Houston, an open forum on today's biggest stories affecting Houston and beyond. Call now, 713-440-8870, or let us know your thoughts on today's topics by emailing us at talk@hellohouston.org. And now your hosts for Hello Houston, Ernie, Manouse, and Tessa Barrera.
Hey, that's us.
That's me and you, bud.
That is.
You and I.
Just you and I. That was the theme for my high school prom.
You and I is also the name of a steakhouse in Corpus Christi. So there we go. Now we've covered all of the S's.
I'd rather go to the steakhouse than go to the prom. How are you today? We are both kind of tired today. We made it. It's been a long week, I think.
Well, I'm actually not tired. I got back on my GLP-1 shot and it makes me yawn. And so I yawned like 3 times talking to Ernie in his face. And I go, I just want to let you know. He goes, what, that I'm boring? And I said, no, I'm yawning a lot and it's not your fault.
I'm not that aggressive.
And I can't like stomach any like caffeine. Normally I would have had a Red Bull and a coffee by now, or maybe not a Red Bull, all these new Celsius drinks, whatever. This is not a sponsored
not sponsored segment.
This is just us. But no, we made it to Friday. Happy Friday to you and yours.
Friday. To you and yours too. Yeah. I will remind everyone we are still hoping for your help and support as we are wrapping up our resiliency fund. If you would like to make a gift of support, just go to HoustonPublicMedia.org, click that resiliency tracker, and there you can make a donation. We're so close to closing that gap of the federal budget cuts that took away some of our support. And we just need a little to get there. So if you haven't done it yet, it's Friday. What a great way to feel good about yourself going into the weekend, knowing you supported something you love. And if I remember the correct number, it's 888-4040-887.
I
don't know. I probably gave the wrong number. Nope. I gave our call-in number for that. But anyway, go online. It's easy. They didn't give us any paperwork on that because they didn't ask us to do a pledge, but you know what? It's time. So if you haven't done it yet, please join us, make that donation.
And a lot of people get paid on Friday, so it's a good reminder.
Yes. Oh, I didn't think of it that way. Hey, if you got a paycheck and just don't know what to do with it, share it our way.
Right, because inflation isn't high, groceries aren't expensive. But this matters to you, it matters to us, and I think federal funding is being slashed. That's something that we've talked about so much on this show and so much that we know about, so it's a good reminder.
It is a good reminder. Another good reminder is, as we mentioned, we're at the weekend. I bet you have great plans for your weekend. We were chatting a little bit about our plans for the weekend. We're going to share those with you a little later in the show, but we want to know yours. So if you're either attending something that you think we should know about, heard of an event that you think is exciting, maybe you're even hosting or throwing an event that you want to bring to the attention of our listeners right now, share that with us. You can email it to us at talk@hellohouston.org. You can post it in the chat group in YouTube, or you can text it to us. This is the right number, 713-440-8870. Or my favorite, wait till the end of the show and call and tell us about it. Yeah. And that way we can talk with you a little bit about it.
Tell us firsthand.
Coming up. People love last minute plans on this show.
And there's so many in the city.
There are. Other fun things to mention. We've got a great guest coming in today.
We do.
Yeah, Representative Al Green is going to be with us. He is going to be wrapping up this year an amazing career in Congress, and he's here to talk about what he still wants to do before the end of the year. And he'll be taking your calls and questions as well, so don't go anywhere. We're also going to take a look at Big Ben. You know, it's difficult times for all nature in our country.
Man, we've seen so many movies where a supervillain comes in and destroys like the most sacred, most beautiful part of a forest or like pollutes a river. And we looked at that and we never thought that we would be there. But we are there in a lot of ways, and we're going to have a great guest chairman from Keep Big Ben Wild here to talk with us about that today. And I'm very passionate about that, so I can't wait for that conversation.
When you were talking about, those movies and stuff, I kept thinking immediately, the guy who wants to shut down the Christmas tree farm in yet another Hallmark holiday movie.
That is your repertoire. I'm learning, Ernie, day by day.
I don't watch Hallmark them, but I like having them on.
Okay.
Did you watch?
Comfort. They're your comfort
What
movies.
was it? Finding Mr. Christmas?
No, I didn't
Did you
watch
see
that. I watched Avatar. When the guy came in and destroyed the beautiful tree of life.
The planet.
We tried to.
Well, Finding Mr. Christmas was a reality competition show that you would like because you like survival shows.
I do like reality shows too.
And they try to find the next male star of a Christmas movie for Hallmark. And they have competitions and all that. It's hokey as hokey is, and I love every minute of it.
I can get into that.
Yeah. If a new season comes on, I'll tell you.
Please let me know.
Anyway, that's my frivolity of the day. So let's get into something a little more serious. Let's talk headlines. Take me in.
Let's get right into it. Okay, Minnesota officials are suing Texas Governor Greg Abbott to force him to approve the extradition of a federal immigration agent arrested in Texas after allegedly shooting a man. This was a non-fatal shooting. It happened during a January enforcement operation in Minneapolis. Well, allegedly, that immigration agent later lied about what happened, and there was surveillance to kind of back it up. So the lawsuit was filed Tuesday by Minnesota Attorney General Keith Ellison, and he accuses Abbott of unlawfully delaying the extradition of Christian Castro. That is the ICE agent who has been held in Cameron County Jail since his arrest in late May. So joining us now to discuss this story is the Texas newsroom reporter Lucio Vasquez. And if you have any questions for Lucio or comments, you can call or text us at 713-440-8870. But Lucio, thanks for joining us today.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
Hello, Lucio. Okay, so for people to understand what is at play here, it's the fact that, as I understand it, states have basically an agreement that if the person that one state is looking for has gone to another state, and in Texas, it's pretty much just customary that the governor will sign over the release and that person will be moved to the other state for trial. Do I have that much accurate?
Yes. Yeah, this is all under the basis of a 1987 case from the U.S. Supreme Court in which they ruled that extradition is a mandatory duty that federal courts can compel governors to comply with it. So this is the basis of the lawsuit that was filed earlier this week.
And the complication in our story, the problem is that it doesn't seem like our governor is signing him over. Are we still in the same spot?
Yes, we are. Yeah. So in Texas, we have a state law that essentially gives us a time limit to hold folks who are arrested based on warrants from other states. That time limit is going to run out next week. We've got about 90 days since the arrest in May. And once that 90 days runs out, if he's not sent over across state lines, then he could be potentially released.
And Lucio, we're talking about, I want to back it up a little bit further for people who may not have the context. That agent, Christian Castro, he basically said that he was attacked before he shot someone non-fatally, but then surveillance later showed that that was not the case. Can you give us a little bit of background on him and what would happen if he was just released? Would he just be free to go?
Yeah, absolutely. So I guess I can give context as to what even happened that day, right? And then we can get into what could happen. So this is in January in Minnesota. We've got a lot of enforcement happening in the area. As I'm sure you guys recall, we had 2 fatal shootings in the area in the same month as well, including this non-fatal shooting. So January, we've got a car chase. Castro is in pursuit of a man who stops at his home. Outside the home is his roommate, who is the man who was eventually shot in the leg. The two of them run inside. Castro then fires, allegedly, his gun at the front door, and Julio Sosa Solis is shot in the leg. Surveillance footage eventually does not corroborate Christian Castro's account, but Castro said he was attacked by the two men with a broom and a shovel, and the two men were eventually charged with assault. Then, some time passes. We see the surveillance footage that actually does not corroborate that account. The charges are dropped, and then Castro himself is charged. Then he's arrested, and now we're here. So Ellison in Minnesota, he's essentially saying that if he is released, Christian Castro, that he fears that potentially he could flee accountability from the state and even flee accountability and maybe go overseas. And so that's what they're trying to potentially avoid by getting him sent over.
There's one step that's missing in your story, and help me with this. So he was arrested, but he came after this incident. He came to Texas and then was arrested here?
Yes. So all of that time had passed. Again, the shooting was in January, but after the shooting, the two men who were involved, not Castro, but the others, they were charged with assaulting Castro based on Castro's account of what had happened.
Right.
I see.
So time passed, and then those charges were dropped. Surveillance footage then showed that Castro seemingly fired his gun into the front door of a house that was occupied by others, including children. And then all that time passed. Castro was in Texas at the time of his arrest in North Texas.
So he comes down to Texas to enjoy his life while that false report that he filed, which we know how dangerous when anyone in a position of power is accusing someone. These men have to basically prove their innocence. Thankfully, there is surveillance. And now Minnesota is saying, okay, hey, this guy that's in Texas did something wrong. Why not extradite him? Why wouldn't Governor Abbott extradite him? Besides, it just seems like obviously Minnesota politics and Texas politics may not mix, but shouldn't a state extradite a person from any state if that person committed a crime? It seems like a really bad precedent.
That's the question, right? I mean, so Abbott spoke out after the news broke on Tuesday about the lawsuit. He essentially says he doesn't trust the governor over in Minnesota, and he tied the extradition to allegations of fraud involving federal programs in Minnesota. He says he wouldn't respond to Minnesota until the state acknowledges the alleged fraud and repays the federal government, but he didn't specifically outline what that fraud was exactly. But it does seem that the delays, at least from Abbott's point of view, might be intentional and linked with that alleged fraud.
Well, it just seems like they're conflating two different situations together and say that one has to be rectified for the other, where they can both be on parallel tracks, regardless of what you think. My question, though, back to Castro. So he comes to Texas. Was he a citizen of the state of Texas? Did he live here? Why is he here? And why is the governor protecting him?
That's a great question. To be completely honest, I'm not entirely sure if he lives here. It's entirely possible that folks from other parts of the country were sent out to Minnesota to participate in the operation over there earlier this year. But as far as I know right now, he's still in Cameron County Jail in Texas until next week at least, whereas, the lawsuit is not just aimed at Abbott, but it's also aimed at the sheriff over there, essentially asking a judge to prevent his release. And so that's where we stand right now.
Let me speculate just a tiny bit further in all of this. So if he gets released, can folks from another state, can Minnesota National Guard or Minnesota sheriffs or anything come down here and arrest him? Or do they have to rely on the jurisdiction of the state of Texas to take him back into custody or to extradite him? Can they step in?
Yeah, these are all great questions. And I can imagine that if that were the case, they would probably need permission from the state, because the state would have jurisdiction over the state itself, right, Texas. And given the perceived relationship right now between the Texas governor and Minnesota governor, I can't imagine that it would be an easy thing to do for for other folks to come into Texas and operate under Texas's jurisdiction.
Well, Lucio, I know you're following this story and you'll continue to stay on it, and hopefully you'll be able to join us back here when some resolution is reached or the next move is played. Fascinating and bothersome story at the same time, Lucio, thank you very much.
All right.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
Thanks
Lucio
so much,
Vasquez is from the Texas newsroom. He's one of their reporters and used to actually work right here in our newsroom.
Well, no wonder he's so dang good.
Yeah.
All right, let's go to this next headline because it's really a doozy. A Deer Park police officer was suspended after he admitted to misusing the department's license plate cameras for personal use. Officer Brandon Williams will be suspended for 10 days and then reassigned from criminal investigations to the Patrol Division in Community Services. This is all from a redacted copy of the disciplinary memo that was signed by Williams, and it was provided to Houston Public Media. So listen to this, Ernie. The memo states Williams searched a license plate number 165 times across a period of several months, and that the vehicle associated with the license plate was not involved in any ongoing investigation. So what are your thoughts? Of course, if you're listening, you can call or text 713-440-8870. Sounds like he had himself a girlfriend and just wanted to keep tabs on her. That is allegedly, obviously, that I don't have factual information on that, but another misuse of power.
I'm curious who that license plate is connected to. Do we know? Have they said who it is?
We really don't know, but remember, so Deer Park had done like an internal audit, and when they were conducting that is when they found the misuse of the Flock surveillance camera. And Flock Safety, as we all know, is one of the most popular companies in the United States used for reading license plates.
Okay, as always, we're curious what you think about Flock cameras, and we've gone back and forth and had this conversation a couple times already. But now there's an obvious abuse here. What do you think? Is this what you feared? Those of you that were against Flock cameras, something like this happening. 165 times is an awful lot of times to just search someone's license plate when they are not checking a criminal activity, when you're just curious.
Well, it's giving obsessed. It's giving a little bit,
little more than curious.
Impulsive. And how could you be doing? It's also just very interesting to me, Ernie, how the state of Texas will track someone, who is going to maybe get women's services for themselves. Maybe they're trying to get an abortion, but there are people that are using this for also just their own personal game. I mean, the whole system seems to warrant itself to misuse.
It sounds like it's that thing that everyone was concerned with, that once you have the information, even if you put in these cameras with all the best intention and that they're there for safety, that there are abuses that can happen. And in today's day and age with the technology we have, how quickly that can become invasions of privacy, how quickly, even though they say, well, it's just seeing what's on the public street. Well, and they often have said it's like if an officer was standing there, what they can see. But the officer is not going to witness your car moving all across an area 165 times in a limited period of time.
Yeah.
That's tracking. That's concerning.
It's tracking, and it's without permission. We have Find My. Do you have Find My on your iPhone?
No,
where you can kind of
I don't want anyone to know where I am, and I don't know where they are.
That's what I'm saying, is you give permission for someone. I give permission to my mom to know where I am at all times. I give permission to certain best friends to know where I am at all time. And sometimes, especially as a woman, you want someone to keep eyes on you.
True.
And, but there has to be some sort of consent.
You have to be the gatekeeper.
Yes, totally.
What do you think? 713-440-8870. Let us know, and we'll share some of those comments and thoughts a little later in the show. But right now, we're going to take a quick break because our next guest is rip-roaring and ready to go. It's U.S. Representative Al Green. He's going to be joining us in studio. And if you have questions for our representative, give us a call, 713-440-8870. This is Hello Houston on News 88.7.
Houston Public Media gives us content that we don't get from commercial resources.
Houston Public Media is my pathway to being a well-informed citizen of the Houston community.
Free journalism provided by Houston Public Media and provides a concise perspective on the morning's news.
Houston Public Media helps strengthen our community.
That's why Houston Public Media is for listeners and viewers like me.
HoustonPublicMedia.org/survey. A.A. Milne's words can be sticky.
In our family, when a child doesn't like food, it's lovely rice pudding again.
Especially the ones about a certain bear.
It rained and it rained and it rained. Just like runs through my mind when it's raining.
The new children's story celebrates 100 years of Winnie the Pooh, How a Bear Became a Book, Saturday on Weekend Edition from NPR News.
Deep in the 100
Listen tomorrow morning starting at 7 o'clock.
Support for Houston Public Media comes from Dekamara. The 26-27 season features Joyce DiTonato and Time for Three, jazz with Joshua Redman and Julianne Laws, and more. Information and tickets at dekamara.com.
Houston Public Media is licensed to the University of Houston System, governed by the UH Board of Regents. Information about open meetings, dates, times, and locations is online at uhsystem.edu.
Support for Houston Public Media comes from Alley Theater, continuing its Summer Chills tradition for Houston theater goers with The Girl on the Train, playing now through August 30th. Tickets at alleytheater.org.
And now back to Hello Houston. To comment on today's topics, call or text 713-440-8870 or email us at talk@hellohouston.org. And now, Ernie Manouse and Tessa Barrera.
For more than 20 years, Al Green has been serving as U.S. Representative of Texas's 9th Congressional District, which encompasses a portion of the greater Houston area. And now, after serving 11 terms in Congress representing Houston, Congressman Green's decades-long tenure in this role will officially end on January 3rd of next year. With less than 5 months remaining in his current term, the Houston area congressman has said that he will devote the remainder of his time in office to supporting progressive causes while also continuing to serve the district. He joins us now for the first time ever, I might add, in the Hello Houston studio to talk about his current goals and priorities and what's next for him. Congressman Green, welcome back. Welcome here to Houston. Hello, Houston.
Well, thank you very much. It's an honor and a privilege to be with you, and I'm looking forward to the program. Thank you.
And I will say, this may be the first time you have been in the studios with us, but you have been with us regularly over the course of the show, and you always make yourself available to share with the community, and we truly appreciate that.
Well, I appreciate the message being accorded the masses. You know, we do have to get our message out if we want people to know that we're doing things. If we don't, people will assume that you're doing nothing. So thank you for allowing us to get a message out.
But another part that's really important about all of this is the fact that you allow yourself to come in here and be asked questions and also to take calls from the folks listening. There are no guidelines put up. You don't come in here and say, I'll talk about this, but not that. There are other elected officials who won't even come near that. What do you think is the difference in the mindset in some politicians wanting to hear from their constituents?
I can only speak for myself. I'll allow them to speak for themselves. I just enjoy the opportunity to visit with people. I think that if you enjoy this job, you'll do it well. But if you don't, you'll find yourself being placed in a corner such that you have only people who are saying kind things about you and to you. And that then means that you won't have the experience that the people are having. If you're going to be of the people, by the people, and for the people, you have to be among the people. So I enjoy it. I learn a lot, by the way. I've never been on this program when I didn't learn something. So let's see if today is a repeat.
Well, I want to remind folks, you can call in and talk to Congressman Al Green at 713-440-8870. What I don't want to make this is about a reflection back on your career. We'll have plenty of time for that after you leave office. You're staying busy and you want to continue to work till that last day in this position.
Absolutely.
What are on your agendas? What are the big items that you still want to make sure you see some movement on?
Well, I'll tell you the big item last because I think it will consume a lot of time if I mention it initially. So let's just mention now that this Saturday we'll have a Slavery Remembrance Day program. Unfortunately, in our country, the enslaved persons have been treated unfairly. They've not been properly respected. After all, these are the persons who had a hand in building the White House, a hand in building the Capitol. They planted the seeds, harvested the crops. They were truly the economic foundational mothers and fathers of the country, because for 240 plus years, the United States had the opportunity to benefit from free labor. And we should recognize them for the sacrifice that they suffered. And to do that, we have a Slavery Remembrance Day, which is August the 20th, and August is Slavery Remembrance Month. August the 20th was chosen because on August 20th of 1619, the White Lion, a huge boat, docked at a place called Point Comfort near what is now Norfolk, Virginia. And it had it is said to be 20 persons on board who were of African ancestry, who were introduced into the colonies as enslaved persons. These are the colonies that would become the United States of America. So as a result, that day, August 20th of 1619, has been a seminal moment in time that has had an impact on the rest of time in this country. So we have to honor those persons, and then we have to talk about the impact. And we have to do it because while we have two other holidays that are devoted to all of the people, but one is the King holiday and the other is Juneteenth. Juneteenth focuses on liberation, and I appreciate it, and I think that's good. And Dr. King's birthday commemorates the civil rights, human rights movement that he led. But we have nothing that really addresses slavery remembrance. By the way, we have a Pearl Harbor remembrance, we have a 9/11 remembrance, we have a Holocaust remembrance, and we should have it. We also should have a Slavery Remembrance Day. And tomorrow we will commemorate the lives that were sacrificed for more than 240 years.
The event you're doing tomorrow, what's going to happen? How do people...
If you'd like to be a part of it, yes. The first 1,000, I have to tell you, will be accepted because that's all the room will seat. It is a breakfast event, and I will give a legislative update, and you can register on Eventbrite. And you should register before 12 noon today. And I cannot guarantee you a seat because we'll take the first 1,000 to appear, and we've always had more than 1,000 to appear at this event. It's going to be quite an event, and we would invite people to come, but you do have to register through Eventbrite.
Where does it happen?
It will happen at the Wyndham Hotel, and this is over on the corner of Kirby and 610 South, right across from NRG Stadium.
There you go. Perfect time. Okay, less than a half hour for people to get to that event. Right. That was great timing. You wrote that up really good.
Okay, that was
very important. Extremely important.
That was one of the things you wanted to work on. What else?
Well, if I may, I'm very much concerned about what has happened to persons at the hands of the constabulary of ICE and CBP. And to this end, having had much of this to contemplate, on Monday, I will be filing articles of impeachment. And I will file these articles of impeachment because the president has allowed ICE and CBP to become a paramilitary force that is unchecked. In fact, it has become judge, jury, prosecutor, and executioner in some cases. We have Lorenzo Salgado here in Houston, Arajo. We also have Johann Sebastian Barrera in Maine, and of course Alex Preddy and Renee Nicole Good. All of these persons have lost their lives at the hands of the constabulary, ICE, CBP, and there has not been a proper investigation. Mm-hmm. In each case, there has been evidence withheld from the local investigators. This is not the way we do business in this country, that we can have multiple investigations aligned with each other, complementing each other. But by withholding this information for these prolonged periods of time, we are seeing a cover-up. This is a cover-up, and a cover-up ought to be exposed. So these articles of impeachment will address the cover-up and will address the fact that the president is devolving the Democratic Republic into an authoritarian regime.
Explain to folks that are listening, oftentimes they'll hear that you'll say, you're going to move for articles of impeachment.
Yes.
And people assume that's not going to happen, but explain why it's significant to go on the record with these concerns.
Well, first, because the people need to know where we stand. They need to know. And by the way, when I do this, I don't demand that others support me or support what I'm doing. On some issues, it is better to stand alone than not stand at all. So I'm going to take the stand, and I invite others who believe in what we're doing to do a similar thing. But it's important for us to let posterity know that among us there were people who found not only that the president's actions are offensive, but they are impeachable. And the Constitution allows any member of Congress to bring before the House of Representatives articles of impeachment. And when they're brought, they are called a privilege motion, a privilege resolution. And as a result, it has to be taken to the floor. So there will be a vote on these articles of impeachment. And this may be the president calling me. Hold on, let me just see. No, it's not the president. It says potential spam, so we're going to shut this down.
Okay. Even U.S. representatives get spam calls.
But realistically speaking, we cannot, in my opinion, allow what we see to be happening, see the devolution taking place, and not speak up, and not do all that we can to make a difference. Now, I'm not asking you to take a position one way or another, but I am saying to the American public, the people want to have some sort of redress for what we have seen. We saw what happened to Alex Preddy. How can we see that and not believe that there shouldn't be some redress? It was an unjustified killing of a person. So there has to be some redress. We saw what happened to Renee Nicole Good. There has to be redress. And we have some video of what happened to Mr. Salgado Araujo. There has to be some redress. So I'm hoping that when we file these articles, they will receive a fair hearing and that people will make up their minds. They won't be released until after 10 o'clock on Monday. I probably said more than I should say at this point because I have made a commitment to C-SPAN to review them or preview them on C-SPAN.
Well, we won't tell C-SPAN you came here and told us this.
That's just a bit. It's not the entirety of it, and I just trust that people will understand.
Before we move off it, can you give us any update on the Salgado Araujo case, where we're at, what we are doing as far as locally and from your position?
Well, we have a district attorney that ought to be complimented. Mm-hmm. He has
Sean Tier.
He has concluded that notwithstanding the efforts of the federal government to withhold evidence, he's going to move forward with an investigation. I commend him for having the courage to take that type of stand, because it's easy to say, well, the federal government's doing it. Let's wait and see what happens. No, Mr. Salgado Araujo was a person living in Houston, Texas. And by the way, he was the kind of person that you want in this country. We should be recruiting people who have characteristics similar to his. Hardworking man, children who are educated, wife, taking care of his family, on his way to work, paying taxes when he buys gasoline, when he buys certain supplies and things in various grocery facilities, doing all of the things that you want people to do, and he loses his life on his way to work because of a traffic stop that, I shouldn't say traffic stop. He was riding in a white van. He looked like a Latino. That made him suspect. All Latinos for ICE purposes are suspect until you can show your papers. Well, he lost his life. Now, the update is as follows. We have learned that the leaking of what was alleged to be some sort of contraband, turns out it was not. It was a means by which people who have to work in the sun for long periods of time, a means by which they can do this and continue their work. It was a combination of salt and some other ingredients.
Electrolytes, I
believe. Yes,
believe.
electrolytes. It's such that it just helps you to do your job. Well, it was leaked such that it could give the impression that he was engaging in trafficking of some sort of illicit chemicals or drugs. That was wrong. They shouldn't have done that. They should have had the test before leaking the information. And they should have done it by way of a press event where they would come and say exactly what it was. So now we've gotten past this, and we're waiting for some evidence of who did it, why it was done, and more about the circumstances. But they're withholding that, and the people who are witnesses, meaning the officers themselves, last I heard, they had not been interviewed by the district attorney. I think the district attorney ought to have an opportunity to interview them. I think he ought to be able to interview all of the passengers in the vehicle. He's had an opportunity to get some evidence, but not enough. So I think that we are witnessing, again, a cover-up, and we have to say it. By the way, for edification purposes, a cover-up is an effort to conceal that which you believe may be illegal. It's an effort to conceal. People assume that a cover-up means that you have prevented it from happening. No, just the effort to prevent it produces the cover-up. So we are dealing with this cover-up in these 4 cases, and there are others as well. And my hope is that this family will receive the information necessary to allow them to move on. They can't move on until they get some sense of what happened to somebody that they dearly love and who was taking care of the family. How can they possibly move on without getting intelligence on what happened? So they're waiting and they're praying and they're hoping, and my prayers and my hopes and my sympathies are with the family.
Absolutely.
We're speaking with U.S. Representative Al Green. If you want to join the conversation, 713-440-8870. As you talk about all of that, I always come back to this with you when we talk about this. We see, I think oftentimes we feel we see things so clearly here, and we can't understand why others don't see it the same way. When you talk about what we perceive as abuses of ICE out there in the streets, it seems odd that it would fall into partisan behavior. Do you feel from where you sit that it is true partisan behavior in moral beliefs that this is right or wrong, or is there just falling in line to some elected officials?
The desire is for us to perceive the moral imperative to act when we see these abuses. That's the desire. That's the hope. That's the prayer. Unfortunately, that's not the case. You are eminently correct. Politics at the federal level has become a team sport. And by the way, in many states as well. Politics devolved into a team sport more so after I arrived in Congress. When I first arrived, there was more collegiality than we have now. There was a desire to work across the aisle to get things done. All of that has dissipated. It has evaporated. And we now have a party in power, and while they're in, they are going to do whatever they can to maintain power, it seems, Democrats and Republicans. And then when the other party comes in, that party will do all that it can to maintain power. And to a certain extent, the people will benefit, but it is sort of ancillary to the maintenance of power. Unfortunate, but true. And I hope that at some point we can get to the root cause of this, which is money in politics. Billionaires now engaging in politics in such a way as to buy seats. If they don't like the way you vote, they don't debate with you about it. They just simply decide they'll take you out of office and put somebody in that they can depend on to vote as they choose to have them vote. And I'm talking about the billionaire class. The billionaire class is going to, at some point, produce for us the best Congress that money can buy. And that is very unfortunate, but that is the case because money rules in politics. When you hear people talking about politics now, the first thing they want to know is how much money has he raised? Who's going to raise the most money? Who's going to make the contributions? It's all about money, and it's driven by money. And if we allow this to continue, only those who can have a billionaire friend or somebody who's going to be able to finance a campaign, by the way, without your having to say that you align with them, they'll give you plausible deniability by saying, well, I don't know why they're doing that. I have nothing to do with them. But you're benefiting, and you won't denounce them for doing it. That plausible deniability coupled with big bucks is going to allow the billionaire class to have greater control than they already have on Congress.
The news came out, I guess it was yesterday, Elon Musk is talking about putting $100 to $200 million into the race that's coming up for November, with a good chunk theoretically going toward Ken Paxton for his campaign. Will you be out there helping James Tallarico from the Democratic side to get this seat?
I will absolutely, totally, and completely, without hesitation, reservation, or equivocation, support Mr. Tallarico. I hope I've been clear.
Thank you for that answer. Very clear there. There is so much more we want to talk about. I remember interviewing you when you were first running to get your seat 20 whatever years ago it was.
Yes.
I hope you'll come back with us at the end of your term and wrap that. But come back anytime in between now and then.
Well, I will enjoy coming back, and I would like to put a plug in for you and what you do here. This is where truth is spoken to power. Most stations, unfortunately, I know, there are television stations where you can't say racism. You say it, you don't come back. If you demean in any way the president, you don't come back, notwithstanding the fact that the president demeans regularly. I mean, on a daily basis, he's demeaning somebody. But here you can speak truth to power, but more important than speaking truth to power, here you can speak truth about power. You see, you speak truth to power when you say power. There's a problem. Let's solve it. But you speak truth about power when you say power. There's a problem, and you're it. Thank you for allowing truth to be spoken.
Congressman Al Green is currently serving Texas's 9th Congressional District. Congressman Green, thank you so much for those kind words and for being on Hello Houston. We do have a full show coming up. It's Dr. Shonnie Murrell, Governor of the Recording Academy's Texas and Oklahoma chapter. Stay with us as Hello Houston continues.
With federal support gone, Houston Public Media needs a stronger foundation for the future. The Houston Public Media Resiliency Fund is our response to ensure this service remains strong, stable, and community-powered. Your gift today helps us stay on the air tomorrow and the day after that. Give now to the Resiliency Fund at houstonpublicmedia.org/donate or call 800-364-8300.
I'm Nikki Beattie. Join me for this week's Arts Hour from the BBC. With British actor James Norton on House of the Dragon, Charlie XCX, global girl group Cat's Eye, American acting star Neil Patrick Harris, Swedish pop royalty Robin, and my conversation with the Mexican-American author Chloe Aregis. That's all in the Arts Hour from the BBC.
You can hear that tonight at 10 p.m. and also Saturday at 11 p.m.
PBS Drama on HPM+.
The twists you didn't see coming. The characters you can't stop thinking about. HPM Plus puts your favorite PBS series on demand, so you never have to miss a moment. Catch up on past seasons with Passport, or stream live whenever the mood strikes.
All your favorite shows.
Search HPM Plus on your smart and connected TVs. The next chapter is waiting.
On HPM+.
Houston Matters highlights the people, places, issues, and ideas that define Greater Houston. And we do it live on the air weekday mornings at 9 on News 88.7. But we know you're not always available then to listen. So subscribe to our podcast wherever you get yours, or find each day's program to stream online at your leisure at houstonpublicmedia.org. And reach out with questions or comments anytime. Email us at talk@houstonmatters.org.
And now back to Hello Houston. To comment on today's topics, call or text 713-440-8870 or email us at talk@hellohouston.org. And now Ernie Manouse and Tessa Barrera.
Making it in the music business takes talent, but it also takes mentorship, advocacy, and opportunity. Our next guest has all of this. Dr. Shonnie Murrell is helping create those opportunities as the re-elected governor of the Recording Academy's Texas chapter, as well as the Oklahoma chapter. She's also mentoring college students through Grammy U and leading her own group, Funk Potion No. 9. She also has new music on the way. Her new R&B album is set for release next month, and she's joining us now. Dr. Shonnie Murrell, thank you for being here, and welcome to Hello Houston.
Thank you so much for having me, y'all.
Okay, we have to start next time you come in. you going to come play music with us?
I am. I'm definitely going to come back. And we talked about that in the lobby. I said, yeah, we got to do it. And this is so nice. And my first time here.
I don't know if our studios can handle it. Have you seen her jamming?
Oh my Lord!
We might have to reinforce the walls a little bit. You get down and I saw a clip of you playing drums in an encore moment.
Yes.
I mean, you can tell music is something that is just within you.
It is.
And so tell us, where do you want to start? What is the most important aspect of your musical career? Because you have done so much. Ooh. What are you focusing on right now?
Right now is the album. The album is done, y'all. It's complete. Yeah. It actually comes out today. We pushed the date up, so it actually drops today, and it's entitled Love Language. So I'm super excited about it. It has the 80s vibes. You know, I'm always compared to Sheila E. And I told her those are some very high heels to feel. I don't know if I can feel those.
How much is releasing a new album kind of like giving birth? You've worked on this for a while. You want it to come out right. You've nurtured it. You're releasing it into the world.
Releasing it into the world, and it's like so exciting, but it's like nerve-wracking at the same time. And I've been working on this since maybe I want to say August of last year, so a year. So
how many tracks are on the album?
This is we narrowed it down to 8 tracks.
Okay, 8 tracks, and is listen 1 through 8, or does you have a favorite that you want people to start with?
I mean, it's so hard just for me.
And everyone's different. Everyone listens to music differently as well these days, especially with streaming.
Yes.
But for an album, 8 songs, to me, that is on pace with about the attention spans that people have these days.
Yeah, that part. That's why I cut it down. I was like, let's just go to 8. That's my favorite. One of my favorite numbers. And I think for me, my favorite song on the album is You Got Something, because it sounds like, it gives you that 80s feel. It sounds... it's compared to Prince. That's what I've been hearing, Prince and that whole Sheila E. vibe. So I'm super just excited about all the songs. And I want to just say thank you to my producers, Davion Botts, Eric Williams, Eric Rashad Williams, Rodney Lil Rod Jr., Jones Jr., and just everybody that's a part of the album, Funk Potion number 9. So, yes.
Yeah. Talk to me a little bit about the drummer becoming the front and center.
Ooh.
Because long ago that wasn't the case. And then we saw this evolution where when there are gifted, talented performers that are drummers, it kind of gets the spotlight. Talk about that and how it feels to be out there doing that.
Well, you know, as a female on drumline in general, I went to Sharpstown High School.
Right.
So my thing is, I started off on clarinet. I got in trouble one day in the band room.
Do we want to know why?
Yeah, because I got in trouble because, you know, music 101, you know you're not supposed to touch anyone else's instrument, right?
Right.
So I just decided and took it upon myself to go and play these 4 drums. They kept calling my name. Come play.
They were beckoning you.
They were beckoning me. And so I looked around in the band room. I was like, nobody's in here. Let me just go and tap, a little bit.
Uh-oh.
And that was the worst mistake, but it came out to be the greatest thing ever. I was playing on them, and my band director, he came running out his office. Who is that playing on these drums? Is that you? I said, yes, sir. And he was like, drop. So drop means push-up position, because now you're in trouble. Like, you're not supposed to touch that. He was like, wait, that was you playing that? I said, yes, sir. And I'm in push-up. He was like, up, down. And he was like, from here on out, that's what you're playing? I said, oh, no, absolutely not. From clarinet to that. So I became a drum captain, drum major, and then I received a full ride to Grambling State University. And I'm the first female quad and quint player at Grambling on the drum line. So that's how that happened.
So if you had followed the rules, you might not be here today.
I might not be here today.
So rule breaking can be good.
It can be good.
Well-behaved women rarely make history. So there's the quote right there.
That's it.
So you were born in Louisiana, but you were raised here. Like you said, you graduated from Sharpstown. Mm-hmm. How much of this new album has Houston and Louisiana? Where are the influences? You're saying 80s, but what inspires you, and what part of Houston can be heard?
Houston can be heard. I'm featuring, I have one of the features on from Houston. Her name is Rochelle Gemini. She's a well-known spoken word artist here, and she's Houston all day long. Like, you can hear it in her rhythms and all the cadences of her poetry on, it's called Soul Food Love. So you hear Houston for sure. And Louisiana, just me, jazz and all the things, the funk, and you hear all of that throughout the whole entire album. So it's just a mixture of two. of both.
So while you're doing this, you also make a lot of time for advocacy and for mentorship. Mm-hmm. Why is that such a big part?
Because I feel like coming out of Sharpstown and going to a HBCU, I didn't have the opportunity of knowing what Grammy U was. I didn't know about Grammy U until I became a member of the Recording Academy. I was like, wait, hold on. I said, wait. Y'all have something called Grammy U, and this is where, you have to be 18 years old and you have to meet these requirements and, be a full-time student. I was like, wait, I felt very deprived. So I look at that, and not only just that, but I also want kids and just students to know in general, if I could do it and I can make it, you can as well. So no matter where you're from, my hometown, Louisiana, we have so many talented individuals, including my cousin Ice Cube. Like, that's his roots, in Louisiana. And I just want my students, I'm a former educator, to know that I'm from Houston. You can make it. I can make it, you can make it. If Beyonce made it, you can make it. We can do, no matter what it is that you're doing. Vince Young, you have all these different entities and examples right in front of you, no matter where you're from. So that's why it's so passionate for me.
What I take from the stories you're telling, too, and it's a consistent theme through here, is a lot of folks think, I love playing music and I'm going to be discovered. Mm-hmm. The element that they're not folding in is all the work, the training, the understanding, the patience, and working towards Of course, yes, the God-given gifts help a lot in that. But I think that's an important part, and people have to realize that there is a discipline here. There is work in being a musician.
It is, very much so. And literally is pain, blood, sweat, tears, a lot of losses. And I look at people's stories like Rick James. That was like one of the plays that I went to here not long ago. And he lost his family, his wife and kids. And, because you're so passionate about what it is that you're doing, like you're going to take a lot of, like the kids say, L's, but you have to also be prepared for that mentally. And sometimes you're not prepared for that mentally, which is why you have to have a circle of people around you that can keep you focused into what it is that you're doing and who it is that you are and who God has called you to be. So those are the things that I look at. It's a lot of crying. I mean, I've cried.
There's no crying in music. Yes, there
is. A lot of crying. And
talk about that sense of community, though. Yes. And you also help do that by mentoring and Grammy U. It gives you a family to understand the struggles that you're facing.
Yes, because let's be honest, musicians and artists, we are different people. We are very different from, I wouldn't even say a regular person, but we are very, very different. And you have to be around people who are like-minded individuals such as yourself, because they understand and they get it. Like my best friend, Sammy Alex, he's a well-known choreographer and celebrity fitness trainer from Houston. We met in middle school at Welch, went to Sharpstown together, and then he went to L.A., and he's been in L.A. ever since, dancing on The Masked Singer, all the things. Like, that's my angel, Yeah. So when I'm down and out, my best friend, he always, hey, you better get it together. Don't make me fly to Houston.
Like, they know.
They know.
He knows the struggle and he knows the slump. We're running out of time, which is bumming me out. But I know you teach the youth. What is something that the younger generation of creators has taught you real quick?
Oh, they keep me up on the new and the new, all the new dance steps, all the things. But they've also taught me that, with social media is so important, and TikTok, and I'm still learning all these things, and they keep me informed on what to do, what to post, when to post, what time to post, all these things. And I didn't know it was a heavy requirement of like that, but yes.
They're good at the posting. Dr. Shonnie Murrell is the governor of the Recording Academy's Texas and Oklahoma chapters and the leader of Funk Potion number 9. She's got a new R&B album out. Shonnie, thank you for joining us today.
Thank y'all so much for having me.
Name of the album?
Love Language.
Love Language. Coming up, we're going to continue discussing today's top headlines. Stay with us for the second hour of Hello Houston.
Thanks for listening to Hello Houston. Join us every Monday through Friday from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. to talk all things Houston. The Hello Houston production team includes Garrett Bowman, William Menivar, Laura Walker, Jen Altide, Todd Hoslander, Jayla Rhodes, Mark DeClaudio, Tom Carter, and Jim Kovacic. For the latest in local news, subscribe to the Hello Houston daily newsletter at HoustonPublicMedia.org. Hello Houston is a production of Houston Public Media. The opinions expressed by the guests of this program are solely their own and do not represent the views of management, staff, or underwriters of Houston Public Media.
Support for Houston Public Media comes from listeners like you and from the University of Houston Law Center, with 2 programs ranked among the top 10 by U.S. News & World Report, including Health Law. More at law.uh.edu.
Very hot day. Got that heat index advisory in effect, 91. And this is your NPR station, KUHF, Houston. News 88.7, a service of the University of Houston.
Just ahead on this hour of Hello Houston, the attorney for a Texas teenager convicted of fatally stabbing a track athlete told a judge on Thursday that Carmelo Anthony deserves a new trial. We'll discuss the new developments. I'm Tessa Barrera.
And I'm Ernie Manouse. What's the right balance between border security and preserving one of America's most beautiful landscapes? We'll explore what's currently at stake in Big Bend.
Plus, it's Friday, so that could only mean one thing: last-minute plans. We'll share notable events happening in and around the area this weekend, and we invite you to share yours. Maybe something you're attending, organizing, or just something we should know about.
That's right. Give us a call or text 713-440-8870 or email us at talk@hellohouston.org. And remember to watch us live on YouTube by going to houstonpublicmedia.org.
Hello Houston is made possible in part by founding sponsors John Bradshaw and Kathy Sanders, and by gifts from listeners like you.
Live from NPR News, I'm Lakshmi Singh. The federal government is out with a new plan for how several states access water from the Colorado River for at least the next 2 years, as the region faces the realities of droughts and water restrictions. Downstream states, California, Arizona, and Nevada, will bear the brunt of the cuts. The administration's plan does not issue water reduction mandates for 4 upper basin states: Colorado, Utah, Wyoming, and New Mexico. But after 2 years, it calls for the upstream and downstream states to hold a new round of talks over their dispute. The Colorado River feeds Lakes Meade and Powell, the nation's 2 largest reservoirs, now experiencing record low water levels. Gasoline prices are inching up while bond prices are moving down. NPR's Scott Horsley has a roundup of what's moving financial markets.
Investors will be keeping a close eye on the bond market today. The yield on long-term government bonds rebounded Thursday, despite an effort by the Treasury Department to push those bond yields down. Bondholders have been demanding a bigger payback in return for lending the government money. They're concerned about the size of the federal debt, which reached $40 trillion this week, as well as stubborn inflation. Gasoline prices typically fall as summer draws to a close, but AAA says this could be the most expensive August ever at the gas pump. The average price of regular gas is just under $4.11 a gallon, topping the previous high set back in 2022. Scott Horsley, NPR News, Washington.
The Supreme Court is expected to weigh in on whether President Trump can continue construction of the White House ballroom. A lawsuit has already been argued through several lower courts after nonprofit groups sued the administration, saying congressional approval was needed for the new side. Here's NPR's Deepa Shivaram.
The Trump administration is arguing that the ballroom was needed to create a, quote, integrated military complex that houses medical care, a drone port, and bomb shelters. On the other hand, the National Trust for Historic Preservation is saying that the executive branch doesn't have the authority to transform the White House like this, even for national security purposes.
NPR's Deepa Shivaram reporting. The government of Guatemala says the U.S. has deported nearly 2,300 Mexican migrants to Guatemalan soil, and NPR's Ada Peralta reports the Mexican government is worried.
Normally, migrants are only deported to a country that is not theirs when their home country won't take them or when it's too dangerous for them to go back. Guatemalan President Bernardo Arévalo said that's not the case with the Mexican deportees. Guatemala, he says, treats them like they are in transit and they are sent to Mexico by land within 24 hours. In a statement, Mexico said it opposes the practice. Human rights groups view it as an attempt to intimidate migrants. In a statement to Reuters, the U.S. State Department said it was focused on implementing President Trump's immigration policy. Ada Peralta, NPR News, Mexico City.
This is NPR.
Live from News 88.7 in Houston, I'm Shelby Rose. A Texas appeals court denied an emergency request to block Galveston County's new precinct boundaries ahead of November's general election. News 88.7's Juliana Washburn reports.
A Galveston County constable and 2 residents filed the emergency request earlier this month. They were hoping to stop the newly approved maps from being used in the upcoming November election. Galveston County officials redrew the precinct boundaries in June after the March primary had already taken place. The plaintiffs argued that the change wasn't fair to voters or potential candidates. For now, county officials can move forward with the 2026 precinct map. From the Galveston County Bureau, I'm Juliana Washburn, News 88.7.
A new report from Environment Texas is showing unsafe levels of fecal contamination in freshwater sites around the state. After testing various lakes, rivers, creeks, Beth Martin with Environment Texas said 59% had unsafe bacterial levels in the water at least one day a year. She says one concerning site is Peach Creek in Montgomery County.
50% of the days it was tested in 2024 and 2025, they had that unsafe levels of E. coli. It's such a beautiful area. Families wading and swimming. So this is something we want to make sure that people are aware about and just, we need to be safe so we can enjoy our waterways.
Martin made her comments on Houston Matters. And in Houston, Buffalo Bayou, White Oak Bayou, and Carpenter's Bayou water showed similar results. And with hurricane and severe weather threats increasing, CenterPoint Energy is reminding the public to stay ready. After Hurricane Beryl left more than 2 million people without power in 2024, the company says it's strengthening the grid to minimize outages. That includes trimming thousands of miles of vegetation near power lines. Jason Pineda is a CenterPoint tree trimming contractor.
All it takes is one good storm, and it could take a tree that's either dying or already dead. And then that would just be even worse hazard for the power line because that tree could just fall onto the power line and take out a whole couple neighborhoods.
CenterPoint says they'll continue trimming vegetation on properties through 2028. I'm Shelby Rose, News 88.7.
Support for NPR comes from NPR stations. Other contributors include Schwab, where investors have a range of choices to pursue investing goals, from self-directed investing to full-service wealth management, all in one place. More at schwab.com. This is NPR.
Live from Houston Public Media, News 88.7, it's Hello Houston, an open forum on today's biggest stories affecting Houston and beyond. Call now, 713-440-8870, or let us know your thoughts on today's topics by emailing us at talk@hellohouston.org. And now, Ernie Manouse and Tessa Barrera.
What an energetic first hour we had.
I'm invigorated, personally.
I know. From politics and the arts, Al Green and Shonnie. I just
called Balance, baby.
Balance.
We've got it.
It's like living in Houston. There's a little bit of something for everyone.
Oh my gosh, I forgot the actress. She was being interviewed. Oh my gosh, I'm spacing on her name. But they go, I didn't know you are from Texas. She said, I'm not from Texas. I'm from Houston. And I thought, wow, that is really, really
we are
appropriate.
Our own little world
our own
unto
flavor.
ourselves
Yes.
here. And we're thrilled to have you with us again for this hour. Remember, you can also watch us over on YouTube. And if you had been, you would have seen Representative Al Green had his cane. Had that famous...
The iconic
gold
cane.
He was holding it, and I wanted to hold it. I wanted to touch it. We went to take a picture afterwards. I was like, no, don't touch it. It's
cool.
his cane.
Be cool, Ernie. Be cool.
Don't be like, oh my God, is that the cane?
His staff.
His staff. That guy that... Anyway, it's great to have him here. He will rejoin us, I'm sure, in the near future before his term is done. But then he did say he'll come back at the end to do like a end of this particular term. We didn't get into what he plans to do next.
I know. We got to,
Because that man is definitely not slowing down.
Absolutely not. He's just as passionate about civil rights and, holding people accountable as he was. You realize quickly why he's had this career he's had for so long because he's not losing any steam.
I think it's building.
Right. It's making more sense.
Yeah. Anyway, it's always great when elected officials come on the program, and we invite our elected officials to this program so they can be part of the conversation. Regardless of where you sit on issues or sides of the aisle, you are all welcome here. If you're an elected official, you represent the people of this city, of this state, and we invite you to come and share your points of view with us. And we give you a fair, honest shake with every guest that comes. So please consider joining us. There was my plea out there.
I like that.
All the rest of the folks that may not have found time to come on the show.
The seat at the table for those wanting to, have a good conversation.
Another good conversation we're going to be having in this hour is something that's really big on your mind.
Oh, my gosh. So we're going to talk to Bob Krumenaker. He's the chairman of Keep Big Ben Wild, which is an organization that is fighting against border wall construction in that area. I mean, we're going to get into it. I'm trying to save it. It's kind of locked and loaded for me, but we're going to do some headlines first. And some of it's really serious. Can I get into it?
Well, hold on one second. I just want to remind everyone, too, at the end of the show, we're going to do last-minute plans.
Okay.
So if you've got your last-minute plans, start sending them in because we want to share them. Either something you're doing, something you want people to know about, or something you just found out about that you think's fascinating. Give us a call, text. You can text us 713-440-8870, or you can email them. That was the worst sentence structure.
Give them to us.
Talk
immediately
at hellohouston.org. Now you can take us into the headlines.
Okay, here we go. The attorney for a Texas teenager convicted of fatally stabbing a track athlete during a high school meet told a judge yesterday that Carmelo Anthony deserves a new trial because of errors that limited access to the proceedings. So Anthony's attorney told a newly appointed judge that prosecutors also did not follow through with an off-the-record agreement. So this is kind of where the plot thickens. Ernie. Defense attorney Russell Wilson said the case's original judge allowed a shadow docket that kept information out of the trial. Anthony, now 19, was sentenced to 35 years in prison in this case, so it was a very popular trial. If you have thoughts on it, if there should be a new trial, you can always call or text us at 713-440-8870. So what I've learned after, learning about a shadow docket. Well, what is this? It's kind of like, okay, here's a gentleman's agreement, Ernie, between us. I'm not going to attack the character of the deceased, where apparently there was something involving racial graffiti. And then the prosecution said they weren't going to bring up Carmelo Anthony's text in which he had just been in a fight with his girlfriend. He was talking about how he was feeling like maybe he was going to snap, or alluding that he was thirsty for blood, saying something alluding to like, I want to lick knife off of a blood, or lick blood off of a knife. Excuse me. Something like that. So they had done like a pre-gentleman's agreement to not bring up any of those things during this original trial. What do you think of all of this?
Well, this is where I'm going to leave the trial and go into just the legalese of it all. And it's important that we think about that too. Oftentimes in a court case, you are not allowed to bring in things outside of the actual case. In this particular case, they talked about under the tent. There was a tent set up, and that's where the confrontation happened. And Metcalf was stabbed by Anthony. But I have trouble with this concept. I always have, because I think the old saying, show me your friends, I'll show you who you are. We build understanding of who people are and behaviors by past things they do. Now, in courts of law, they keep that out. You're not trying those cases. You're trying this one.
Right.
But if somebody has talked about having a bloodlust right before a stabbing happens, I think juries should know that to better understand the mindset of the individual at the moment an incident happens. And the same way that if the person in this particular case, the victim of the crime, theoretically, was doing racist things, having racist comments, graffitis and stuff, that is important to understand that person. Though character of someone to behavioral mindset of someone else are two different things, I think.
Right.
To speak hate is different than to act out on hate also. So I think there's a lot of different pieces at play here. And yeah, that's what I have to say.
A lot of different pieces at play. Yes, absolutely. But for such a high profile case, I just feel like a handshake deal seems so unusual.
But you do that because you don't want it to get out. You don't want them to say, if you write it on papers, then the documents could be released, and then the stuff you're trying to keep out of the case ends up getting into the public.
But couldn't a private hearing before all of this with a judge mitigated some of that?
And I would assume probably that's the way you should go.
And the judge saying, no, actually, the jury does need to hear this, or okay, fellas, or okay, everyone, this is an agreement on. We're not going to bring up this. You're not going to bring on this, and then it's held to that standard for the rest of the case.
Yeah.
I mean, if I had the immense responsibility on my shoulders of sending a young man to prison for what is going to be the majority of his life his life.
19 and he's got 35 years was what he was sentenced to.
Right.
Yeah.
And then victims of the family will say, well, our, son, our friend doesn't get any of that. Why does he even get that? So it just... It's a high-profile case, one in which I think getting a new judge looked like a victory on the Anthony side. But then when you read about all of these, maybe he went to a juvenile detention center before where he had previously lived. I don't think that was information that the jurors had access to. So maybe he was prone to a little bit of anger.
But then they're concerned that gives prejudice toward the defendant in the case. So now it's like, oh, well, now we're going to assume because he had that behavior in the past, therefore that makes him more...
He's troubled.
Right. But I kind of think that's, like you're saying, that's information I think you need to know or should know when you're deciding putting someone away for life.
Right. Well, if you know that this person has a tendency to maybe get rage or have anger issues, that does make a difference, because then then the plea of self-defense...
As a parent, if your child, terrible comparison, but you'll see where I'm going with it. If your child was caught speeding and you say, you were speeding, and your child says, no, I was not speeding, I wasn't speeding. Don't you also think, yeah, but you were caught speeding 6 other times. So does it help better educate your decision, or does it prejudice your decision about the moment in front of you? Right. And I think that's what courts have to decide all the time, what you let in and don't let in. But in this case, and also, ultimately, I don't have a problem with a new trial. If the evidence is there and can support what the conviction was, then have the new trial. It's a waste of money, maybe, some people will say, but, if you believe in your case strong enough, then it'll come out the same way again.
According to these new developments in the first trial, they said, amongst each other, okay, this deal is off. The handshake deal is off, and they gave Carmelo 10 minutes to decide whether or not he would be able to testify, because mostly in a murder trial, you would go up on the stand and you would defend yourself. You would say, this was my state of mind. But they said, hey, basically, if you go up on that stand, we're going to bring up all of these other things, like that deal is off. So they gave him 10 minutes to decide, which also seems, unfair in a lot of ways.
Which goes back to that gentleman's agreement, that shadow docket, where they had agreed without it being something signed off on to be held to.
We have an attorney on the phone. Matt from the Heights is joining us now. Matt, tell us how you are breaking this all down.
Just a really quick comment, actually, something Ernie mentioned a moment ago. Ernie mentioned that if a statement made outside of court typically would be hearsay, that would be something you can't bring up in trial, of course. But if it has to do with a person's mindset, the accused mindset, that's actually an exemption to hearsay. Hearsay is whenever you use the statement to prove the truth of the matter asserted. In this case, the text message that was mentioned about licking blood off of a knife, something to that effect, that would not be hearsay. That would be allowed in.
But I also help me with this, and thank you for calling, Matt. So what I was also talking about, and tell me where I'm right or wrong on this, that past behaviors are often not allowed into court because they're not this particular case. But and if I'm wrong on that, let me know. But also, don't you need that to understand and help you get to the heart of who an individual is? What am I missing?
Absolutely. So evidence about character is absolutely admissible, but typically the defense has to open the door to that first. They would have to put on some evidence that this kid's not, he's never done anything like this before. Well, then you can bring up past instances that he has acted violently. But it would be limited to what the defense opens the door to.
So if the defense doesn't say that this person never did this before, then you can't bring in the fact that while you're settling on this case, while you're sitting in judgment of it, he also did this, this, and this. You can't do that?
Correct.
Does that seem right, though?
Well,
help me understand it from the legal point of view.
Right. So the thought is that everything is separate, and just because you did something before, it doesn't mean you're necessarily going to act that way again, and that could unduly bias a jury against you, make you think that just because, say for example, you have committed robbery before, you were having hard times in your life, you committed robbery, and say you happen to fit the description of somebody and be in the area of a suspect accused of robbery, and you're picked up. They can use that evidence to show, hey, look, he's committed robbery before, and in that case, it wouldn't be fair. So the law always looks first and foremost at treating the defendant as innocent until proven guilty, and so that's why all these defenses are there.
But I would say, though, if somebody has committed 16 robberies before the one you're trying them on, I would think I'd want to know that, because I would think it predisposes someone to maybe do a 17th.
Well, exactly. And that's typically, at some point in the case, the defense is more likely than not to open the door in one way or another to that kind of character evidence.
Yeah.
There will be something on stand where they will discuss their past, their history, because anytime you have a violent crime like that, they're going to try to show that this person isn't a violent person. And without them doing that, it's almost really not necessary to have all those extra instances of crime. The judge will almost always be aware of that, because the judge gets to filter all evidence. So if the prosecution puts on that evidence and then the judge says, no, that's not admissible to the jury, the judge is still aware of that. So later, whenever it comes to sentencing, if the judge is handling the sentencing, then the judge will be aware of that and all those past offenses. And even if they're not supposed to consider that, they'll subconsciously consider that.
That is such good information. Matt, I want to ask you another question. Given the context of these new text messages that are revealed, if he is granted a new trial, I mean, could they say even this was premeditated? I mean, could they increase the charge, or could anything like that happen?
So premeditation, it doesn't. Well, that's actually a good point. If they did a new trial, yes, that could all come into place again. But premeditation, in regard to this particular text message, I don't see that connection being made, because I haven't read the specific text message. I've just heard, and then I keep reading about it to the effect of what it said. Now, if it had said something like, I'm going out to do something violent right now, that is my intent. Something a little bit more specific. I could see how they would try to make that argument, but just from this, it doesn't seem that there's any specific intent to hurt the victim, Austin Metcalf in this case.
I see.
Matt, I know we don't really know who you are, but we know that you called in to share your thoughts with us, and then we ended up making you a guest on the show. I apologize for over-questioning you, but Matt, thank you for calling and sharing with us.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
Thank you. If you have a thought and opinion on this topic, give us a call, 713-440-8870. And you know what? Before we run out of time, all week we've wanted to talk about this topic, and we have not been able to get to it. Let's get to it now.
Okay, so listen. In China, there is a new movie that's having box office success despite poor reviews and a bad script. It's called Niu Lai, and it's an animated film about a cartoon bull. So Niu Lai translates to "Here Comes the Cow," and it was reportedly made for just $47 by a mother and son team.
Not $47,000, not $4,700.
$47, like just short of $50, okay? Apparently, the mom and the son duo provided all of the movie's voices. They released it through a small production company that used to be an interior decorating business. And the online community kind of made fun of it over the weekend, calling it worse than AI. But the fact that it wasn't made with AI eventually made viewers be like, you know what? This is kind of endearing. So listen, first 10 days after its release, it grossed just about $1,100, Ernie.
Okay.
But it has since earned $1.7 million because of viral negativity. What is your favorite bad movie?
I don't even want to get to my favorite bad movie, 713-440-8870. I want to get back to this movie. It is available on YouTube. You can watch it, or maybe it's not really available. It's just bootlegged on YouTube. But let me tell you, it is endearing. I take issue with the idea it has a bad script. It may move relatively slow.
$3 million now within 30 days of its release. There you go. Oh, that's what one platform predicts, that it can make up to $3 million.
God bless them. I think it's awesome. It's very low tech. It feels though like pop art in some way.
Bring back true creativity that doesn't look perfect after the first draft. This is called a rough draft. This is called someone who's not cheating and getting every single one of their thoughts created by an AI chatbot.
Yeah, not that I have a problem with that, but
you know, it's like nostalgic. It's endearing in that way.
The funny other part that I like about this story, the other wrinkle for me, is the fact that while this is happening, there is a new movie coming out that has Val Kilmer in it, and his entire performance is AI generated. Oh. And he's in over an hour of the film. It's not like it's just a cameo moment. I have seen a clip from it. It is amazing. It looks like he's there. Where technology is moving to this level that you can and it was, of course, done with the Val Kilmer estate, and Val Kilmer was working on it before he passed away. So it's not like exploitive in that regard.
Okay.
But for me, it's the juxtaposition of your spend. And they also said theirs is an independent film, and it didn't cost as much as you would think to do this because the technology is there and people were able to tap it. But at one end of the spectrum, you have resurrecting a dead actor into a movie, and it's so realistic. And on the other side, you have a little $47 movie of this little guy, this little cow.
You've got little David over there going against the Goliaths in the movie industry, and I'm going for David.
I love this movie. Go look it up, see what you think. At least in the beginning, the opening credits, it's very colorful and beautiful.
That's right. Okay, well, coming up, we're going to talk to Bob Krumenaker, chairman of Keep Big Bend Wild. This is an organization fighting border wall construction in the West Texas area. This is Hello Houston on News 88.7.
With federal support gone, Houston Public Media needs a stronger foundation for the future. The Houston Public Media Resiliency Fund is our response to ensure this service remains strong, stable, and community-powered. Your gift today helps us stay on the air tomorrow and the day after that. Give now to the Resiliency Fund at houstonpublicmedia.org/donate or call 800-364-8300.
The Pulse, it's on Sunday at 2 p.m.
Do you know where your tastes come from? This week on It's Been a Minute, how yuppie tastes infiltrated our culture and changed America as we know it.
And on Wildcard, Shania Twain on Heartbreak and New Love.
We tumbled for quite a long time. When we stopped rolling, we landed in each other's arms, and it was like, wow.
That's on Wildcard, and It's Been a Minute from NPR.
It's on tomorrow at 6 p.m.
Hello, I'm Nikki Beattie. Join me for this week's Arts Hour from the BBC. With British actor James Norton on House of the Dragon, Charlie XCX, global girl group Cat's Eye, American acting star Neil Patrick Harris, Swedish pop royalty Robin, and my conversation with the Mexican-American author Chloe Aregis. That's all in the Arts Hour from the BBC.
You can hear the Arts Hour tonight at 10 p.m.
The Houston Public Media Foundation Board proudly stands with our community in supporting the Resiliency Fund. Their leadership and generosity are helping strengthen the future of trusted local journalism. Thank you to our Foundation Board for investing in Houston Public Media. Support comes from Dekamera. The 26-27 season features pianist Igor Levit in an all-Beethoven recital, Danish String Quartet, jazz with Joshua Redman and Julianne Laz, and more. Information and tickets at dekamera.com.
And now back to Hello Houston. To comment on today's topics, call or text 713-440-8870 or email us at talk@hellohouston.org. And now Ernie Manouse and Tessa Barrera.
The debate over border security at the expense of environmental conservation is playing out in one of Texas's most remote and iconic landscapes, Big Bend National Park. Construction crews recently began clearing land for planned border security infrastructure, prompting strong opposition from local residents, environmental groups, and elected officials from both parties. The Trump administration has now paused construction in the park while officials reassess the project. Here to help us understand what's at stake is Bob Krumenaker. He is the chair of Keep Big Bend Wild and a former superintendent of Big Bend National Park. Bob, I am so glad you are on Hello Houston today. Welcome.
Thank you, Tessa. It's great to be here. Thank you.
So can you give us your latest update? Because a pause does not mean an altogether inaction. Can you give us an update?
Well, all this is intel. There's no public and definitive statements yet coming out of Homeland Security, but it's our understanding that the pause will last at least through the end of August, maybe longer. We certainly hope longer. And we're also hearing some encouraging signs where the Commissioner of Customs and Border Protection has said everything is negotiable, which is pretty remarkable considering nothing has been negotiable up to this point. He's promised more transparency, which would also be great because there's been none. And it does sound like he's saying that they will not build any new roads. They will only use existing roads. And there's a lot of devils in that detail, but that's also an encouraging sign at this point. But we really don't know when they'll make a formal announcement. And to be perfectly honest, a lot of things they have said have not been followed through with their actions. So Ronald Reagan said, trust but verify. We hope this is good news. We hope this is truly a change in direction. But at this point, no one's celebrating victory quite yet.
Right. And you seem to be in great spirits today, Bob. You were quoted in the Austin Statesman saying insanity is not a good enough word for this. And that, to me, encompassed what a lot of Texans are feeling. Tell us a little bit about your background and why you are so passionate about protecting this particular space, this sacred space of Texas.
I just lost audio. Can you still hear me?
I can still hear you. Can you hear me, Bob?
Okay.
Okay.
Now I can hear you. Yes. Okay,
yeah.
good.
So I just wanted to know why you felt that way about this space.
Well, I spent over 40 years working for the National Park Service. I'm a biologist by training, have worked in 14 different national park areas, including Big Thicket in East Texas, not far from where you are. And the last assignment in my career was as the superintendent of Big Bend National Park and the Rio Grande Wild and Scenic River in West Texas. And that was a very intentional decision of mine to come back to this incredible part of the country. I'm not a Texas native, but I'm absolutely in love with national parks, protected areas, and the Trans-Pecos beautiful area of West Texas. So my issue here right now, frankly, and one that if I were still working for the Park Service, I would probably not, I definitely would not be able to be speaking out because my successor, great fellow, I hired him as my deputy, but he's completely muzzled by the administration right now. So I am taking the opportunity of being a former federal official to speak what I hope is truth to power. And Keep Big Bend Wild is nonpartisan. We will talk to Democrats. We will talk to Republicans. We'll talk to anybody that loves Big Bend. And we will criticize anybody that is trying to put a one-size-fits-all approach on homeland security or border security in this area. I mean, one of the things that's really interesting and I guess gives me some street cred is that in the 5 years I was the superintendent, I had stewardship responsibilities for 245 miles of the U.S.-Mexican border. And granted, my staff and I were not responsible for immigration security, but obviously we were very conscious of what's going on. We worked very closely with the Border Patrol. I have testified before Congress that border security is working in Big Bend National Park due to the good cooperation. And the fact is, the area in Mexico, just on the far side of Big Bend, is the most remote area in Mexico. It is very, very far from paved roads. It is the area that has the least activity of illegal crossing of the entire U.S.-Mexican border. And so border security is valuable, and technology, particularly high altitude drones, if they want to impose those as they have put in other places, or if they want to put in wireless sensors, there's already hundreds of them in the park. Nobody has any issue with that. But this approach of at first a border wall, now vehicle barriers, now 80 miles of new patrol roads, lighting, wells, man camps, all the rest. It is way overkill considering that even the local sheriffs of both parties say this is, I don't know if they're using the word insanity, but I am. They're saying this makes no sense at all.
Take me back just a tiny bit in what you're saying and trying to understand this and parse it out. So the commissioner is saying we'll just use existing roads. Use them for what? So if they're using these roads, are they using them to get somewhere to establish something else? So aren't we just back at the same point of altering the park?
Well, there are a lot of unpaved roads and paved roads already in the national park. And there's also a Border Patrol substation inside the national park. And they have a housing capacity with the cooperation of the National Park Service of having up to 8 agents on the ground. And it's my understanding they only have 2 or 3 because they have a great difficulty recruiting and retaining people there because it's so remote. So no matter what they build, if it requires more boots on the ground, and we're all in favor of more boots on the ground, there may not be enough people to actually patrol those roads or monitor. But specifically to your question, Ernie, the Border Patrol already does routine patrols on every one of the paved and unpaved roads in Big Bend National Park. And some of them are rough roads, and Border Patrol has 4-wheel drive vehicles, and they drive them regularly, as do National Park Rangers. And for several years, including all the time that I was the superintendent, Border Patrol actually provided the National Park Service money to make sure those roads were passable. Mm-hmm. And I'll admit, we didn't do a terribly good job at that. And if that's really the issue, that's easily fixed. There wasn't enough money and there weren't enough people on either staff to do that, but that's fixable. So what we hear, and this is part of what they put online, but not something that the commissioner has said recently, is that they want to build new patrol roads closer to the river. And some of these are 100 yards or less from existing paved roads, which, again, seems to make no sense. They want to bury communication cables so that all their sensors, which would be up on poles every so often, would be connected by fiber optic cable. So that would be intrusive and damaging to the landscape. But I would also ask the question, how long will fiber optic cable be the technology of choice? The technologies that are already in use are wireless. Mm-hmm. Why not use more wireless things? Because you can continually update, then you can redeploy. They also want to do buried power lines, and they don't seem to understand this is the worst and least reliable power grid in the state of Texas. Regularly, you have outages of a day or 2 days or 3 days because there's so few customers and so much territory for the utility company. So if they're relying on power, good luck with that. So it just seems like it's originally a proposal done by people somewhere very far away with GIS technology, completely unaware or unconcerned with the reality on the ground, what the terrain is, and maybe most important, what the need is. There's just so few people. It's not zero, but there are so few people that actually cross. And almost every one of those people that has crossed the border that I'm aware of within Big Bend National Park, at least since 2018 when I got there, gives themselves up willingly and peacefully, and they're apprehended by the Border Patrol along one of those existing roads.
We're speaking with Bob Krumenaker, chair of Keep Big Bend Wild. I'm going to read a text that Sally from Idlewood sent in. She says, I've been to Big Bend 4 times. I know there is no good reason to desecrate that landscape with a Trump fence. I wrote both of our senators. The reply from Senator Cruz was a masterful reply that said nothing. He could just slow down the federal bureaucracy to wait out the current fence building administration. Another listener, Julia Orduna, says bulldozing has also been happening in San Ignacio next to the Bird Conservatory without notice or permits, and that landowners have begun to sue. Do you know anything about that? I know that construction has damaged some habitats there, Bob.
Well, I'll speak mostly to Big Bend. I'm aware of what's happening at San Ignacio, but I'm not an expert on that. There are at least 3 lawsuits that have been filed in the Big Bend area. And it's not just the national park that's at risk either. I should point out that there is state land on either side, of the national park. And there's a lot of private landowners upstream and downstream who have been treated very poorly, threatened with condemnation. But that's a slower process. And I think that's why DHS is actually operating on federal land right now, because they think they can do that with impunity. But the bulldozers are in the park. They, as you said earlier, they are paused. So there's no activity that I'm aware of that's happening as we speak. But they have already plowed the route for a new patrol road right near Santa Elena Canyon, which is one of the most iconic views in the national park. Probably politically not a very wise move to do it in some place so visible and so iconic, but maybe we should be grateful for that. That's also in the habitat of a listed threatened species, the yellow-billed cuckoo, but they've waived the Endangered Species Act, so they're ignoring everything about habitat and those requirements. They've also started bulldozing a path which could be a new road, or maybe it's a route for one of those cables up the side of the mountain that's behind me here, which is Mariscal Mountain. If they go through with the plan that they have on paper to build that road there, it would require going 1,700 vertical feet above the Rio Grande in a very short distance. We say, and Congressman Lloyd Doggett says, this undoubtedly requires blasting. They're denying that. It undoubtedly requires switchbacks. It's unstable geology with all sorts of faults. And we're all worried about some of the spoil going into the Rio Grande, which not only would destroy habitat, but it's also a violation of a treaty with Mexico. And they don't have the right to do that. So they've also cleared at least 2 areas around the park that are not immediately adjacent to the border, fairly flat lands that seem to be for man camps or staging areas, but they're not saying what they're for. But what we do know is that their equipment is going anywhere they want it to go, and the National Park Service seems to have no ability to restrict that at all.
If I'm not mistaken, Big Bend is about 800,000 acres, or a little over 1,200 square miles. It's larger than Rhode Island. There are those out there that would say, if that much space, we're just talking about a tiny sliver. Your thoughts on that comment, that argument?
Well, from an acreage point of view, maybe they're right. But the point is, this is an iconic landscape. It's one of the nation's crown jewel protected areas. It is Texas's gift to the nation back in the 1930s and 40s, with the expectation that it would be always protected for wildlife, scenery, natural resources, cultural resources. Some of the most important habitats and some of the most important places for people to visit in the national park and get that inspiration that great landscapes do are along the river and near the border. So it's not just anywhere in the national park, but their plans also call for building, if not necessarily new roads, sensors all the way up 25 miles north of the border along some existing roads. Again, for what purpose is that? I mean, if they're going to build a cable adjacent to an existing road, yes, it's less damage than somewhere else, but it's also not necessary. So again, it seems like a plan made by people who don't know anything about the place. And maybe with Rodney Scott coming to visit, he's understanding that for the first time.
You know, you have so many rare occasions where both sides of the aisle can agree on anything. You know, this, what you were saying about the special place in Texas seems to have kind of united, you know, both sides. How can... What good is coming from this? Because it just seems like everything is being disregarded. I feel like the questions I want to ask you would be rage bait. I feel like the Trump administration announcing plans to rescind, you know, roadless rules that would make national forests available for industrial development. I mean, it just seems to go on. In the now, at this moment, what do you recommend constituents and community around Texas do?
Well, first of all, I want to just acknowledge Keep Big Bend Wild is nonpartisan, and we will talk to people from any party that want to engage in this issue. But yet this is a pattern that we have seen elsewhere on protected lands for sure. And one of the other things that's in the background, it's not directly related to the border issue, but the administration is also currently going through a review of policies for wilderness areas, including national park wilderness areas, and including those lands that have been determined through a public process to be eligible for the further protection of the wilderness. And most of Big Bend and much of the land that they would propose new roads for is eligible for wilderness designation. And we fully expected them to rescind any protections above and beyond the normal in the national park for that. So what can people do? They're doing a lot of it. I mean, it's pretty remarkable. I think this will be a case study that our grandchildren will tell about how the people stood up to elected officials and said, public lands are really important. Or if we get run over, it's going to be a case study in the opposite direction. But right now, we are encouraging people to continue to call the national offices of their elected officials. I think that's particularly important in Texas with people from the majority party, because there is no decision in Congress. There is no vote on this. This decision to pull this decision back requires actions by cabinet officials and sub-cabinet officials and the administration. And those decisions will only be made through influence of congressmen, Governor Abbott's office, big donors to that party. Those final decisions will happen behind the scenes. But the fact that the Governor Abbott, who for months has said, oh, this is a federal issue, which is fascinating considering how much involvement he has had on border security in the previous administration, he's now finally saying that he thinks technology only would be a good idea. And he's claiming credit, and we'll give it to him. That's fine for getting Mr. Scott there. But the pressure has to stay on. I think one of the mistakes that some people and a lot of the media have done in the past is reporting victories long before they're solid. Mm-hmm. So good signs right now. But, no matter what Mr. Scott says, and we hope he goes even further than the intel suggests, we need proof. How do we know that this isn't going to change right after the midterm elections? Let's see them rescind the contract. Let's see them make the contract public, and let's see them voluntarily, since they waived the laws, abide by the National Environmental Policy Act, the National Historic Preservation Act. Let's have public comment on what they're going to do. Or better yet, why not rescind the waiver of federal and state and local laws and just go through the normal process?
Bob
so
Krumenaker.
We have to keep telling people to do that.
Absolutely. Thank you for the great advice. You are the chair of the Keep Big Bend Wild and former superintendent of Big Bend National Park. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you, Tessa. Thank you, Ernie.
Thank you.
Okay, last minute plans.
Coming up next.
You got them?
I got some. Okay. I want to hear what everybody else has. Start mailing them to us. talk@hellohouston.org or call, because you can call in now and tell us about them at 713-440-8870. We'll be right back. With federal support gone, Houston Public Media needs a stronger foundation for the future. The Houston Public Media Resiliency Fund is our response to ensure this service remains strong, stable, and community-powered. Your gift today helps us stay on the air tomorrow and the day after that. Give now to the Resiliency Fund at houstonpublicmedia.org/donate or call 800-364-8300.
You can hear the New Yorker Radio Hour. It's on this Sunday at 9 a.m.
Support comes from Baker Ripley, serving Greater Houston for more than 100 years with programs supporting families, education, financial stability, and workforce. Find program details, volunteer information, and more at bakerripley.org.
Support comes from Houston Theater Week, a citywide celebration of live performances. Participating organizations include theater, dance, and music presenters. Returning August 24th through the 30th. Tickets at HoustonTheaterWeek.com.
Support for Houston Public Media comes from Chariot Energy, offering customers electricity plans that match their energy use schedules and lifestyles. All plans come with 100% renewable energy. Details at ChariotEnergy.com.
Support for Houston Public Media comes from Live Nation, presenting the Buddy Guy Blues Festival, coming to the Cynthia Woods Mitchell Pavilion on August 29th. Tickets at livenation.com.
Want to binge All Creatures Great and Small? Catch up on Nova or revisit Ken Burns documentaries? You can
with PBS Passport. With a gift of $5 or more per month to Houston Public Media, you'll get access to PBS Passport that lets you watch your favorite programs anytime you want. Support the programs you love and enjoy them on your own schedule with PBS Passport. Make your gift now at houstonpublicmedia.org/donate.
And now back to Hello Houston. To comment on today's topics, call or text 713-440-8870 or email us at talk@hellohouston.org. And now Ernie Manouse and Tessa Barrera.
Tessa, we made it.
We did it.
Your first week.
Oh my gosh, it's flown by. You said it was going by slow.
Slow probably is the wrong way to say it, but the right way to say it is I feel like you've been here forever.
Oh, okay. I like that better.
Yes. You like that better?
Yeah,
okay.
I do. To me, it has flown by.
I feel like you've always been right there.
One complete week of work for me, who has been out of the mishmash. Yeah, it was a little freelance. So I was here and there. Feels good. I'm going to stay in Houston this weekend. What are you going to do?
Well, I'm going to tell you that as soon as I tell all of you. This is the last minute plan segment. We've been hyping it all this time. I want to know what your last minute plans are. Call us up. Share them with us. We want to know. Also, we want to live enviously through you to hear you doing something even much more fabulous than we've got planned, and you're going to tell us all about it. I've got one that's caused me a bit of grief all week because of fear and worry. I have been asked to be a keynote speaker at the University of Houston's UH Red Dinner, which is an annual gala that raises scholarship funds and emergency crisis aid to help empower University of Houston LGBTQ plus students. So the Red Dinner is Saturday night, and they want me to be a keynote. Now,
so how long does a keynote speech have to last?
They told me they want 10 minutes.
10 minutes?
To some, you would think, oh, that's not... 10 minutes is a long time to listen to this one just drone on. So
you can't drone on. You have to be poetic. You have to be inspiring.
See, emceeing doesn't bother me. We both get asked to MC a lot of things, to pop up at these events, to talk, to introduce people, be witty.
Well, you put it on everyone else. When you're the MC, you put all the attention on other people. But when you're the keynote,
they didn't ask me to MC. They asked me to keynote, which means I have to write something.
Okay.
Now, here's another funny ripple in this whole thing. My next door neighbor, we've talked about this before on the show, is Harper Water, the ballet dancer.
Mm-hmm.
He's the other keynote. So it's funny because we could carpool to it. So I texted him last time, like, what have you written? He was like, I don't know. I've been trying to.
Does he get 10 minutes too?
Yes, we both have 10 minutes to speak, and neither of us know. But I'm sure he's going to sound much better because he's prepared.
Listen, you tell stories for a living. Tell a good 10-minute story. Tell a good 10-minute story about yourself.
It's going to be wonderful.
And what you've learned.
If you haven't gotten a ticket yet, please do, because I have some wonderful things to share with you.
There you go.
I just don't know what they are yet.
Yeah, and we need someone to go and give the feedback.
Yes, but if you're interested in going to a wonderful cause and supporting a wonderful cause, it is tomorrow night. You can go online and find out more information. Just look for the UH Red Dinner, and you could maybe get a ticket. There's lots of great entertainment, good host. Jolanda Jones is also giving a speech. Hers is only 5 minutes. I got 10.
Double.
I'll trade.
Trade her.
So that's what I'm doing.
Trade.
So tonight we'll be worrying about writing a speech. Tomorrow all day we'll be psyching myself up to get out there and give a speech, and then Sunday we'll be napping from that speech.
Okay.
What are you going to do?
So, I got to get some golf in there. I wanted to go yesterday, and I just chickened out because it was so hot. So now I can wake up early and I can go play like the full 18 somewhere. I use the Golf Now app, which is an app that gives you like a good deal somewhere, and you can drive out and explore a new part of Houston, get a good deal on golf. I always have to eat a golf course glizzy if they have one, a hot dog. You like hot dogs just as much as I do.
Hot dog.
Okay, so do that.
Golf course glizzy.
And then I may have a new renter for my house that I usually
you were talking about
lease.
that the other day.
So I might actually have to do some work, which is a good thing that I'm in town and not off somewhere jet setting, because I'm going to have to get some movers to get out.
Well, I would almost
furniture.
argue you've had plenty of time out there
I
jet
have.
setting and doing fun
I
things,
have.
so you have to stay around a little bit. So that's what we're doing. What are you doing? 713-440-8870. What's getting you excited for this weekend? What are you prepared to do? One thing that I think is awesome that's happening, we had it in our list, other people are sharing it. The Julie Eidson Library is celebrating its 100th birthday on Saturday. And I love this point. It's air conditioned, parking is free, and activities are for everyone.
Boom.
So people are writing in about that. They want us to go. It's Saturday, noon to 4 p.m. If you've never been in the Julia Eidson building, it is fascinating. It's a wonderful piece of architecture. I'm so happy that it has been preserved. Phoebe Tudor was on our show a while ago talking about preserving that. Get in there, see it, celebrate with reading.
This is downtown?
Downtown.
Yeah. Okay.
Right
maybe
kitty corner from City Hall.
Then maybe I'll walk over.
Yeah, you definitely should.
Okay.
It's really worth seeing
sounds
if you
amazing.
haven't been there. There's
Sounds
going to be
amazing.
tours, exhibits highlighting the library's past, crafts, activities, vintage story time featuring gems from the historic children's book collection. A few years back, I did a show called Cover to Cover on TV here when PBS was doing the Great American Read, and we shot the show in the children's reading room, and it was so cool to be in the library.
Very cool. Very cool.
Yeah, I see you're gleaming over all the other things.
Well,
that are
I'm
happening.
looking at empty bowls. That's a really good one. So this is where local artists make handcrafted bowls. You can go shop them, and then all proceeds benefit the Houston Food Bank. It's also still restaurant weeks, so you can go get some good food.
Yeah, Empty Bowls is happening at the market at River Oaks District, and that's 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. Talking of empty bowls, one way to fill your bowl is on Saturday mornings. You can have cartoons and cereal.
Yum.
But it's followed with that's all, folks. The Houston Toy Museum. It's going to be their final Saturday morning cartoon event, which features a milk and cereal buffet.
Ooh.
I'm all excited about that. And episodes of beloved 80s and 90s cartoons. The event is included with your museum admission. And get this, kids pay their age.
Oh.
So if you're $6, $6.
Okay, I could take Sophia for $2.
You could.
Hey, okay, question.
The event is 10 to
favorite
1.
cereal and also beloved cartoon. Do you have one?
Oh, God. Favorite cereal, I would probably, and I don't know why I would jump there, King Vitamin. I loved King Vitamin when I was a kid, but I think it was because you could often cut out a crown on the back of the cereal box.
I don't even know what King Vitamin is.
Oh, my God. And they had a magic set that if I sent in so many box tops,
I
could get the magic set when I was a kid.
Oh, my goodness.
Favorite cartoon, of course, Scooby-Doo.
Scooby-Doo.
Ruh-roh.
Oh, yeah.
How about you? Favorite cereal and favorite cartoon?
Okay, favorite cereal, Fruity Pebbles, or something fruity, like Fruit Loops or Fruity Pebbles. Those are, those are my jam. And then my favorite cartoon growing up, I guess I did like Scooby-Doo. I'm trying to think of you know what? All the 90s, like Nickelodeon, I loved Ren and Stimpy, Hey Arnold, Rugrats. Those were my jam. Yeah.
Jimbo, our producer, is commenting. He didn't tell us what his favorite was, but he did say, King Vitamin, it was a ripoff of Captain Crunch. It was not. I loved King Vitamin. When I was a kid, what I would do is Mom would go grocery shopping. And so I would go to the cereal aisle. Yeah. And in my mind, it was like a mile long and like 18 feet tall. And I would go through every cereal box to find the best toy inside. And that was the cereal I'd have to get.
Well, you know what? Here's a plea to cereal companies. Why did they stop doing that?
Choking hazards.
Okay, choking hazards, but also there's less cereal. There's less food in everything now. Don't get me started on that. I know this is supposed to be a chirpy segment, but that is true. You open a bag of chips, it's all air. You say, they tell you you're getting 12 ounces of something, you weigh it, it's like 10. I don't like it, Ernie. I don't like it one bit.
All right. I'm going to tell you something I do like. Award-winning guitarist Benesse will be performing here in town. The Prince of the Spanish guitar. It's his 25th anniversary tour. He's had a ton of PBS specials. He's been here. He's been on the shows before. He's been in our studio during campaign and pledge drive.
Amazing.
This show will include fan favorites, the rock classics from Led Zeppelin and AC/DC, which you wouldn't expect from a Spanish guitar player, but even classics like Ave Maria and Vivaldi's Summer.
Nice.
The concert begins at 6 p.m. and will take place at the Match in downtown Houston.
Okay. And can I shout out my friend over here, this Vibe Artisan Market at Silver Street Studios? This is my friend Christina Terry, and she has more than 80 artisans offering, they've got like ceramics, fine art, goods, leather goods, candles. I mean, you think about all of it. It goes down Saturday and Sunday from 11 to 5.
Representative Al Green was on the show a little earlier, and he was talking about, I think he said it was at the Marriott down by the Astro complex there.
That's right.
That they are having a slave remembrance breakfast, but you have to go on Eventbrite, and I don't have the link for it, but if you go to Eventbrite and search for it.
Eventbrite.
The Eventbrite. And there is 1,000 seats, so he doesn't know how full it is, and it always sells out. So if you want to go there, get online and look it up. A couple other things. What do I want to mention? I want to mention it's a fun day. Rosenberg Railroad Museum. I bring it up because railroad fans are the best fans in the world. That is on Sunday from 1 to 4 p.m.
All right. Well, let's chug a lug into the weekend. Chugga.
I want to say, first week in the books. Thank you so much. What a joy to have you here.
Oh, my gosh. Well, hopefully I can maintain that. I'm in a great mood. This has been a great week, and let's keep the good times rolling.
I think you're going to be able to maintain that.
Okay.
I'm putting my money on you.
We'll see.
We'll be back on Monday with more Hello Houston. So thank you for watching, for listening.
Wait. And thank you, Ernie, for being so welcoming.
Oh, well, thank you.
See you next week.
I really do like this one. Okay, Hello Houston. The best of Hello Houston is on the weekends, Saturdays and Sundays. Saturdays at 1 p.m., Sundays at 11 a.m. If you missed any of the best of the show, or remember, it's all online to listen to. Have a great weekend. We'll be back on Monday.
Thanks for listening to Hello Houston. Join us every Monday through Friday from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. to talk all things Houston. The Hello Houston production team includes Garrett Bowman, William Menivar, Laura Walker, Jen Altide, Todd Hoslander, Jayla Rhodes, Mark DeClaudio, Tom Carter, and Jim Kovacic. For the latest in local news, subscribe to the Hello Houston daily newsletter at HoustonPublicMedia.org. Hello Houston is a production of Houston Public Media. The opinions expressed by the guests of this program are solely their own and do not represent the views of management, staff, or underwriters of Houston Public Media. This is News 88.7.
Support comes from Houston Theater Week, a citywide celebration of live performance